Good morning, everyone. Name is Tim Daniels, coming to you from the Treaty 1 territory on the Long Plain First Nation. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Treaty 1 Development Corporation, and I'm also the Manitoba Director for CANDO. So welcome to this morning's Manitoba Links to Learning. We have an exciting presentation to you by Kendal, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll introduce my co-host, Michelle, and Michelle will walk us through what we're going to experience this morning. Michelle.
Thanks, Tim. Good morning, everyone. Really excited to be here with you. I'm excited because we have Kendal with us this week. I already got to listen to him a couple of times already this week, and I tell you, I feel really inspired. I walk away always, whenever I listen to this young gentleman, I walk away with like tangible, practical takeaways. So I really think that this morning's conversation, this morning's workshop is going to be really good. And so I'm looking forward to it. So welcome. This morning's workshop is more interactive. So be prepared to share. I always find when we have that sharing within our communities, within our circles, it's so much more richer when we get to hear from the voices of folks like you. So be prepared to unmute yourself, to lend your voice to this morning's conversation. So today's topic is Indigenous economic development and prosperity. So the conversation today is really great. Indigenous peoples are looking for ways to grow their economy so their membership can prosper. Throughout history, they have faced obstacles that have limited their growth and have had to look at other ways of creating prosperity. It's very important that we understand one another in order to work together for a prosperous future. So Kendal this morning is going to take us through the worldview of Indigenous peoples and how we can all prosper together. So let's build economies for a prosperous future. So Kendal is joining us from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where he resides with his wife and his children. You may know him from his very prosperous business, Nietzsche gear. He also has a book out called Driven to Succeed. And this guy is all over the place. He's mentoring young entrepreneurs. He's lending his voice to this conversation around what we're talking about today: economics, development, prosperity, Indigenous leadership. So we are in for a treat. We are honored. CANDO loves Kendal. So we're honored that he's joining us this morning. So welcome, Kendal.
Thank you for having me here today. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, CANDO, for allowing me to be with you this morning. And just like Michelle was talking about, I want this to be very informal today. We're going to get a lot of interactions. I'm going to ask some questions, and hopefully we'll get a lot of your feedback. And one of the questions I want you to think about before we get into it is, what does Indigenous Ec, Dev, and Prosperity mean to you? What does that mean in your definition? What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the floor in a bit here to give a few of you a platform to share your thoughts and ideas on what that means to you, and we'll base the conversation around today's answers. So Michelle, Tim, get ready. I'm going to call on you very quickly here soon, and the rest of you stand by too. I'd love for your input on that. So what does Indigenous Ec, Dev, and Prosperity mean to you? That's a tough question for some of us, but I think a lot of us have it in the back of our head. We kind of have an idea from our point of view what that could possibly mean. In today's presentation, I have three key areas that I'm going to cover today. They're very to the point, and the last one to me is the most influential and important one to focus on in the 2021 era that we're living in. So before I get into that, I want to say first and foremost, thank you for being here with us. You know, you being here with us is telling us that you value your continued learning. And you'd be surprised how many people would message Tim, Michelle, CANDO, and so on with all these questions, but they can't even show up to a free webinar. And you're here today with us. So congratulations for being with us here today. So the first question I have for everyone, what does Ec, Dev, and Prosperity mean to you? Michelle, then Tim.
All right, so I have three words. Maybe another word might come to my mind. But the first one is sustainability, inclusivity, and education. I think all of those pieces are really, really important. I come from a background of working with community development, community engagement, but I also have a business on the side as well. And I really think, of course I want to make money. Of course I want to prosper my business. But if I feel like that there's community that are struggling, so I see a lot of poverty. I don't feel very prosperous, even though my business might be doing well, when I see our people, I see our community struggling. So I think, not leaving anyone out, making sure that everyone's being taken care of.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for that. Off to you, Tim.
Thanks, Kendall. Thanks, Michelle. I come from a background of community economic development. Mostly my whole career has been community economic development. So, it's for me, it's providing the opportunities for my community members, but also now in my new role for the Treaty 1 members. So providing those opportunities and also inspiring them to get into school, get into chart out their careers, because I believe all roads lead to economic development. If you work in healthcare, we're supporting you through economic development in our community businesses. If you work in education, so it's the whole picture for me in community development, providing the opportunities, providing employment, providing training opportunities that'll open the doors for private entrepreneurship, but also working for the band owned businesses. That's kind of been my career track is community economic development and the band members, and
Awesome.
feeding the nation and to address the social issues that our communities address.
Awesome. Awesome. That's really well put there, Tim. Tim, I'm going to come back to you in a bit here. I want you thinking about some examples from your communities and the businesses you worked with to maybe give some case studies if you can about, maybe you don't have to tell us the names of the business, but maybe give us an example of, there's a company here that, when they started and then this happened, and this is how they're giving back and so on. That's prosperity for all. And I could tell you that there's a lot of examples that I can give you 20 right now. And the reason I say 20 because I'm mentoring 20 Indigenous entrepreneurs from the West Coast to the East Coast right now. And in between these calls that I'm doing with Candu, with other virtual trainings, I'm mentoring them. So we're on one-on-one calls, we're doing group calls just like this. And I could tell you that a lot of these entrepreneurs that we're working with have that mindset of giving back, have that mindset of inclusivity, of sustainability, of allowing their business to not just benefit themselves, but benefit the people around them. And I think that's true prosperity. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up to the floor. Does anyone else have any wants to share from their stories, their opinions on, going off of what Michelle and Tim had just said today? Feel free to unmute yourself at this time if you'd like to. If you'd like to come on in and share with us, what does ECDEV and prosperity mean to you? Feel free to unmute yourself at this time if you'd like. Again, welcome Alana, Pam, Duncan, Daryl. We got Trina, Jeff, Emily. Welcome to the call. At this time, if you want, you can unmute yourself and come on into the call with us to share your thoughts, share your stories, so we can make this as interactive as possible. Pam.
Hi, good morning. This is Pam.
Welcome, Pam.
Hi, yeah. So I'm very interested in, as part of my role, I'm an Indigenous liaison with a mining company. So my part of my job here is when I see these webinars, again, like you make a good point, they're free. There should be a lot of people on here. I send out a lot of information out to my communities, a lot of information sharing. Yeah. I gather information too. ECDEV is not my background, but communication is. And part of that is education. So this kind of information does help me share with others that are not online or not able to be here with us. So I just want to say that, thank you. And I look forward to hearing some more good ideas from you. Thanks.
Thanks for being here, Pam. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. I really appreciate that. And you're right. You're absolutely right in terms of we need these webinars to be full, with people that have those questions that are probably, that are in my inbox, that are in Michelle's inbox, that are in Tim's inbox, and always asking questions, but they can come to these things and ask questions just right now. It's perfect time to do this in front of a lot of people, because there's a good chance that when someone has a question, someone else probably has the same question or a similar viewpoint. So it's better to do it in like a training like this. So thank you for being here. Anyone else want to come in at this time? Feel free to unmute yourself and come on in with us.
Kendall, it's Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. We'll go Jeff and then Trina.
Great, thank you. For me, my background, again, is also in economic development, particularly at the community level. And while I now work as a liaison for a top 5 construction company in Canada, I always go back to my roots as an Indigenous person and think about, why am I doing the career that I'm doing? Mm-hmm. And for me, it comes down to one word. If I had to put it down to one word, it'd be about choices. And what I mean by that is the communities, when they have successful economic development and when they have successful community-owned businesses or community member-owned businesses, they have the ability to focus their own source funds on their own priorities, as opposed to those that are imposed upon them by government agendas and outside influences. And so for me, it comes down to choices, the ability to decide your own future and your own direction. And I think that's critical because, right now in First Nations, that's just not the way that it is for the most part. A lot of it is basically, what's the next government program that comes out? And I think once we get away from that spiraling rabbit hole, I think then you're going to see, change on a magnitude that's huge across the country. But again, just one man's opinion.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for sharing today, and thank you for coming in with us. Appreciate you being here. Trina.
Yeah, I would say that it's a lot of what Jeff just said that I think about with economic prosperity. I think that we as Indigenous people are operating under a scarcity model that's been imposed on us. And I think prosperity and when everybody's thriving, then we have opportunity to show our potential. I mean, even under a scarcity model, we are incredibly creative. We are very resourceful. We have tremendous gifts. And so if we could be prosperous, I just see unlimited potential for what we could do.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Trina. Thank you for sharing that today. Does anyone else want to come in? Daryl, Duncan, Emily, Alana, did any of you want to come on in and share your thoughts on that as well? Feel free to unmute yourself at this time if you'd like to. Hi, Alana.
I just want to say hi, Kendall. I just want to say I really appreciated Michelle, well, all of you, but with her point of saying, giving back, but also the fact of, even though we're doing well, that we should always make sure, our people are doing well, our neighbors are doing well, that just because we're doing well doesn't mean somebody else is. And a lot of times I come from social development, so I'm really opposite of economic development. So with economic development, I always see things I look at the economic wellness, and economic wellness should match our social development as well, right? So I feel that those need to build bridges for each other in some ways, and sometimes it doesn't. But thank you, and that's all I want to share. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Alana. Thank you. I love that point, because I think that often gets overlooked in terms of the wellness piece of prosperity. There's a lot of our people that are struggling with the post effects of a lot of things that have happened in our time. We don't, this isn't a webinar to share all those things, but we all have an idea of all those things that have happened to our ancestors, and we're still dealing with those effects. And we need to heal ourselves through our programming, through mentorship, through making services available. And I think that all ties hand in hand with prosperity. So thank you for mentioning that today there, Alana. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. So I want you all to think in the meantime, before I come back to all of you really quickly, think of an example that you can share in about 10 minutes with us of a company or a band or an organization, a tribal council, whatever that might be, that you think is doing a good job, and give an example of something that they're doing, whether it be a programming, whether it be giving back and so on. Think of that in the back of your mind right now. Now, thank you for all of your input. And I was noticing there was this common theme that was starting to develop, and I want to touch on a few things. So there's 3 keys that I want to focus on today. So first and foremost, before I get into that, if we're looking back to our ancestors who have paved this path for us to be here right now, all of us in this room, wherever it is that you're sitting right now, whatever province, whatever community, wherever it is that you're in right now, there's a reason that you and I are in this room right now. And in this moment is a result of all those sacrifices that have been laid before us. And during our timeline of events up until the present moment, I feel like there's been a resurgence of people trying to do good for themselves, and I've just been loving it. I don't know about you, but if you've been on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, you've noticed that there's a rise of Indigenous voices starting to come up, and it's beautiful. Now, when we look at, historically speaking, when we look at all the things that have happened, I really feel that this simple teaching of, when our people go in and do something as simple as going to pick a medicine, going to pick sweetgrass, going to pick sage, when they go and do that out in the wilderness, wherever it is they're doing that, you have to offer tobacco before you and state why in your language through a prayer of what you're going to be using that. At least that's how we do it where I come from, and it's very similar across this country. You offer something before you take. And I feel a lot of our imbalances in this country is a result of just take. Losing that core teaching of giving before receiving. Now, in our businesses, in our communities, we can still bring those teachings back to how we do business for our people, how we do business for our staff and the people that we're leading. Because as a leaders, you're always leading someone, even if you don't even see them in the corner of your eye, someone's looking up to you. And the way that you leave a legacy should always be focused on the generation that's to come, the next generation, the generation after that, and so on. It's always thinking ahead. That's how Native people have always been raised, historically speaking. When you do business, it should always come in the form of looking after the people that are going to come after you, not in the moment, not just getting the profit to spend in that moment and not having anything to show for it. I think it's extremely wrong when, this is just my opinion, when a band distributes money to their memberships just for nothing, absolutely nothing. What that does, you can see it. We've had case studies on these in different communities across the country where they'll do disbursements. Maybe they turn 18 years old, they get a disbursement. Where does that money go in 2 months? There's nothing to show for it. We need to go back and figure out how can we help ourselves with the excess revenue that we generate in our communities? How can we help our membership? How can we heal ourselves? Maybe we create programs where, maybe we get an excess amount of money from our ec debt departments. Maybe we put into a pot, and if that person ever wants to buy a home on or off reserve, there's a mortgage fund ready for them. Things that can empower people. That's what we need more of right at this moment. So 3 things really quickly that can take us from where we are right now as an individual, as a community, as a business owner, and get much quicker ahead. Because what's happening in the past, here's the old school way. We rely on the government. We listen to the government. We wait for the government, and we wait and we wait and wait. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And then we become just like, I believe Pam or Train, I can't remember who said, it's like a dependency. We become dependent on a revenue stream from the government, and we start to lose that light of prosperity for ourselves, that light of independency to be able to take ourselves to either get go to school, go to get another job, go to even start a business, and so on. We become so dependent on that one avenue that we lose the whole picture. So right here, this is, to me, 3 things right here that can help us. Okay, so first and foremost, if you are a business owner or you're in charge of a lot of businesses, just like Tim, that has a big portfolio of people, we are at a point right now where we have a lot of opportunities at our fingertips right now. In order to get ahead quicker, we have to find sustainable partnerships. With most of the time, it's going to come in the form, and some may not like this, it's going to be non-Indigenous partnerships to come and bring us quicker with You know, look at this thing out in the East Coast, right, with the lobster situation, right? That's an example of being able to utilize non-Indigenous contacts to get them ahead quicker. You know, they went through a negative experience, all of a sudden, boom, they now are majority shareholder of their own business. So these are examples here that I feel will help a lot of our people. Now, the reason why we haven't had a lot of success in the past is because oftentimes people come to our communities and they try to partner with us and they assume that we're not educated. And you know what? Sometimes they took advantage of that. They took advantage of those contracts and they exploited our people. They took from us. But as our people are becoming educated, they're becoming more knowledgeable. They're starting to start their own businesses, their own companies. They're becoming leaders. Less of that is happening. So right now at this moment, we're at a perfect balance to start reigniting the right partnerships so that we can all go down that path where we want to go. So we can all create prosperity. See, the more we educate ourselves, the more we're going to be able to find and weed out those proper partnerships to help us get to where we want to go. I'll give you an example, right? I talked about mentoring 20 entrepreneurs. That's a direct result of me finding the right non-native partner that's already established out there, utilizing my services to find the right people so I can mentor them through their partnership. That's a simple example right there. You could do the same thing. The more we educate ourselves, the further we can get there. Second thing I want to talk about before I open up the question here is everything we do goes down to the second piece. It has to be sustainable. Like the old school way of doing things is in the moment business, right? Where we can make a little bit of profit. It's almost like gambling, right? It's almost like a gamble where you go and throw some money into it. You might get a little bit of money out and it looks really good on paper, but it doesn't really do nothing for sustainability for your future membership, your future people that you're leading. The businesses that you create today should be set up for the long-term investments so that they compound over time, not a short-term gain. So many people are so used to shiny object syndrome, right? They want to go invest in Bitcoin, for example. I don't know if that's going to be a big thing or not, but it probably will do up and down for some people. But that's like, to me, is a shiny object syndrome. Look at long-term investments. Look at things that you can pool your resources together, your money, so that in 20, 25 years time, even in 50 years time, you can see future payoffs for your people, for the people that you're leading. That's the future. That's looking ahead. It's not in the next year. It's going to be years and compounding those years over time. But I know what you're thinking probably right now. Well, Kendal, how do we ensure the right leadership to come and govern all that? Well, sometimes what we need to do is we need to partner with those people that are established out there, create agreements with them so that this money is not touched for so many years. That's how you can secure those funds. Okay. The last thing before I open up here today, going back to Facebook, going back to Instagram, going back to TikTok, which I'm not on yet. And hopefully I'm not on that for a long time. And also LinkedIn is the rise of Indigenous entrepreneurs right now in this country. I truly believe that number 3 here right now is the greatest opportunity for our people. Why? Because when you go as an entrepreneur, you play by your own rules. You don't have to play by the government's rule most of the time. You can go and start a business right now. You can start a website. If you notice on Facebook, I've never seen so many people launching products, launching services during COVID. This stuff happens when we get uncomfortable. We start launching products. We start launching services. COVID was a very uncomfortable time for myself, and I'm sure for a lot of you. And you know what? Some people out there, they took it upon themselves to start their own revenue streams in the way that they know how, taking their gifts, taking their products, giving them to the marketplace on Facebook. When you're too comfortable, you don't do stuff like that. You lose the hustle drive. You lose that mentality to go and sell a product, sell a service. I'm working with some entrepreneurs that are going through this right now. When you take that leap from part-time hustle to full-time gig, you have to get used to that uncomfortable feeling of you have to now work for that paycheck. You have to now grind for that next contract. No more comfortable paycheck every 2 weeks. And that's, a lot of our people, we know what it's like to not have a lot of money. We know what it's like to rely on social assistance. So we don't want to go back to those kind of feelings anymore. So when we empower ourselves, we see more people succeeding. You know what that says? I want to do that too. The more of our people rise up that are successful in ec dev and prosperity and entrepreneurship, especially, more people are going to rise and follow in similar footsteps in their own way. So my question to everyone in this webinar, I'm going to start with Michelle, go up to Tim, and to everyone out there, can you share with us a success story that you want to share that's doing a great job in this area?
Well, I think we all love Bannock. And who's here on this webinar. So there's a lot of people who have started their own businesses selling this Bannock in different styles, different fashions. So the one young woman that comes to my mind, this is more grassroots. So she started a business, about a couple of years ago. And it started to slowly grow. And then this year she made the announcement, and I was so proud of her. She says, 5% of my profits I'm going to take and I'm going to put it towards a nonprofit. I'm going to go support a nonprofit organization. And I thought that was beautiful, beautiful capture of, prosperity within community and within her own business.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you. Off to you, Tim.
I can speak of, I guess, my home community and the Arrowhead Development Corporation and the work that they do. I'm no longer there, but I see the growth in our community because of our economic development. I'll speak about housing as an example. Before Arrowhead, we would do maybe about 4 houses a year, and so the competition for those 4 houses in our community was great. But now with Arrowhead Development Corporation, it's a band-owned corporation, band-owned businesses. All the profits go to the First Nation and their financial statements as well. So they have a strong financial statement at the end of the year. The nation, which has allowed them to build, now 15 homes a year in the community. So to match the growth in our community, because we all know the overcrowding in our community. So we're still not there yet, because we're growing really fast. Our population is in terms of the rest of Canada. And but also it's the inflation rate too. It doesn't match our growth in our community. So we need to continue building businesses to support these things as housing, education. School buses break down. We can't wait for the government to give us money to buy a school bus. We buy school buses. So there's a lot of areas that the Development Corporation is assisting in that a lot of people don't really know. The school buses that the kids are driving in, the corporation bought that. As our communities grow too, in terms of TLE and our TLE purchases, tree land entitlement and our lands expand, the funding doesn't match that too. So you need to clear roads, you need to do that. So again, the Development Corporation is getting loans for the nation to purchase the heavy equipment they need to service the community. So, and there's more, but also, it's created the dark side of that is that it's created dependency in my members, in that we started off if your kid is taking dance lessons or guitar lessons or playing hockey or soccer or any sport, the Development Corporation helps those parents with the fees associated with the extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
But it's also created some dependency on a Development Corporation for other needs outside of recreation. So it's a balance. It's balancing, right? It's how do you address that? But just an example, I guess there's good sides and the bad sides of community economic development. Some of our members are grown dependent on assistance in other areas besides education.
Yes.
Funerals. We help with a lot of funeral expenses, whether you live in this community or anywhere in Canada. So I'll just leave it there. Thanks.
You made point there, Tim, of out here in Saskatoon, northern Saskatchewan, they got that at Cameco Corporation, right? So Cameco is a big uranium mining company, and they service a lot through they hire a lot of the Métis communities in the north, especially in Isle of Cross, Beauvais, and so on. And one of the things that I went on a tour with them, and I got a chance to know some of their team members, and I got a chance to meet a former mayor from Beauvais, and he would say that every time, just because the main company that gave, I guess, the development in their communities and was through Cameco, that they almost became like the face of the government for that area. Like they became that, as you would say in your area, like the dependency was through them now, right? Was through that company. And so everything that was wrong, they would go and blame the company of, everything that was happening in their community. Do you have examples like in ways that we can, um, I guess, solutions moving forward, Tim, that maybe we can work on for anyone else who may be going through something similar? We're trying to do good, right? We're trying to help our people. We're trying to establish partnerships, whatever that looks like for us. How can we try to find balance in terms of removing the dependency feeling from our membership, but also trying to empower them at the same time? Do you have any ideas, Tim, that you can share with us that we can possibly work towards?
I think it starts in school, in grade 9 and 10, and or even before then. We need to get into our communities and teach them about economic development or choosing the right career paths. For example, I'll use the Capillon project that we're working on right now here in Winnipeg. It's a multi-year project, and it's 160 acres, millions and millions and millions of dollars it's going to cost to get that project going. So we have the time to inspire our young kids to get into the right career paths. We've charted out 15 years of career choices, right from cutting the grass to installing the pipes that we need in infrastructure, cement and all that kind of work. But also, okay, they're going to have these offices there. They're going to have strip malls there. Maybe now I should start thinking about my own business, like a Niche gear, for instance. I have time to my point is getting back into the schools early on and getting them excited about economic development. And I always tell every young person, be good at math, okay, because math is going to take you a long way.
I like that. Yeah, for sure. So coming from a guy that had to go through math a few times, I can definitely agree with that, Tim. That's definitely, if you can do math on the fly and do even simple calculations and percentages, that's very valuable stuff. And so thank you, Tim. Thank you, Michelle, for your insights on that. I'm going to open the floor up to anyone else who wants to share a success story on something that's working for you in your communities, or maybe your business that you're going through right now, and you're empowering your membership, your communities through Prosperity, through ECDev. Feel free to unmute yourself at this time.
If there is anything else, I'd like to add one more thing is, we plans cost money. But a lot of times we're getting into new areas that we've never been in before. I'll use an example: the hotel. Long Plain has built one hotel so far, and we're building our second one right now. We were never in the business of hotels, so now we and up until that time, while building a hotel, we've done every business on our own, 100%. But we need mentorship, and we need guidance, and we need the experience that comes with lining up with a Wyndham hotel chain, for instance. So we're at the point in time where we're now reaching out to partners to get into the business areas of hotels and others. So we can't be afraid to get into these partnerships because we were never running a hotel before. So just another example is just getting into these partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people, Tim, that I don't judge based on how you look. If you're successful in your area and you can help me get there in a similar way, I'll go and work with you and get mentored by you, because that's the quickest way. You go and model people that are successful. Even people like Tony Robbins, they say that all the time. If you want to be successful, go find someone that's already doing what you want to do, go model them, get mentored by them if you can, and bring it back to how you want to do it. That's the quickest way. And I think that sometimes our pride gets in the way, our egos, right? And so we have to be willing to learn from people. We have to be willing to throw ourselves out there. And when I mentor entrepreneurs, that's one of the things I said, have you asked them yet? Have you asked that person for help? And most of them will say no. Go and ask. You never know what they're going to say. You never know if they might give you a meeting to actually mentor you, to give you some advice. And I can say so many people in my path that I can give credit to that have opened the door for me just to come and sit in their office and talk with them. Something as simple as that has empowered me for many years to come. Asking one question that might dictate a whole nother path in my business, my career. Those things are valuable. And all of you that are here right now, there's going to be people coming to you that may want a word of advice, some wisdom. You know, open a door to those young people that are going to come, because you're the leaders for them. You're the one that might give them hope to create that multi-million-dollar business in their community or urban reserve or even off reserve. We got to support those people. So thank you, Tim. Appreciate your insight. Anyone else want to share a story? Alana, Pam, Duncan, Daryl, Trina, Jeff, Emily, Alex, feel free to unmute yourself and come on in. Hello, Emily.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm from Swan Lake First Nation. I'm the founder of Anishinaabe Bemishmo Corporation. I manufacture jingle cones, and I'm the only one in North America. What inspired my economic journey? I'm young. I'm only 20, so this is just the beginning for me. Is when my competitors are non-Indigenous and they make power supplies based off of foreign countries.
Yes.
That's where all the other jingle cones are made, right? And same with other, power supplies. And what inspired me it's that, the people who are manufacturing the power supply goods, those are jobs that could be made in our communities, right? Think about like if we had a manufacturing facility in each reserve, right? And if we only support each manufacturing facility on reserve, like think about the economic growth.
Yes.
And then even then, you see all of these non-Indigenous business owners who are profiting off of Indigenous peoples. They're making bank and it's not being shared.
Yes.
Right? It's not giving back. Like I know when I launched my red jingles, I think I donated about $5,000 so far to, different nonprofit organizations and families. And same with the turquoise jingles too. We're doing the same thing. And then even then, like for employment, for labor work, my business kind of does like the summer student program. And then even then for people who can't afford jingles, because it does happen, right? Well, come work at the shop for, a couple hours and then choose whatever you'd like, things like that.
Emily, where are you located?
Swan Lake First Nation.
Okay. And that's where your warehouse and your manufacturing is at right now?
Actually, well, because like we need 3-phase power. So my manufacturing facility is the town right next over because there is a shop that we could rent.
Cool.
But Swan Lake approached us with their 5-year plan and said, you know what, design me a building, do the research for us and we'll include it.
Yeah. I just by your business model, you're right. You're in a very unique spot where all those Powell regalia makers across the country should be going to you. And I think what it comes down to, Emily, is you should email me after this, and I would love to introduce you to a few people. It's a branding and marketing issue that maybe you're running into, so that to attract people to you. I feel like there's I don't know too much about your branding, but I'm assuming that you have a website. You have a website up and running right now, Emily?
Yeah, so I kind of started my business very uniquely. My main source of income isn't retail customer. It's wholesale customers.
Okay, gotcha.
So we have about over 100 stores that we supply jingles to across North America. Gotcha. And as long as our stores are alive, then we're alive, right? And then our second is retail customers. And then that also includes, trade shows or our e-commerce store and all of that.
Nice. Awesome. Have you told your story of why people should go to you?
Yeah. Just this year, we've always had our branding through social media, but this year I started taking like more seriously because I started this when I was 16, so I was juggling high school and business and even learning how to do business because 16-year-old no idea whatsoever.
Right. Awesome. Emily, message me after. I'd love to point you in some directions and hopefully get your marketing out there and your story out there to let people know. And, you know, people should be going to you. People should be supporting you. You know, you're exactly right in terms of there's so many companies out there that, and you can even look at powwows and conferences when they were live, you know, right away who is just there to make money off our people and they weren't native, right? How many of those people actually give back to our people, right? It's usually the people that come from our communities that start their businesses and they give back in some way to our people. That's prosperity right there. You know, when we look at the take model, I talked about that in the beginning of this, that does not create prosperity. You have to be looking out for the people around you. That's just the way it is. That's how we think as people. That's how we're supposed to live in harmony with this our life that we've been given. We're supposed to look after each other through all of our things that we're doing, not just take and create destruction. It's to try to use what you can in your moment to create something and look after those people around you. Look after your family, look after your relatives, look after your membership and so on. That's true prosperity. So keep it up, Emily. I would love to connect with you after. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. Awesome. Anyone else want to come on in? Alana, Pam, Jeff, Alex, Trina, feel free to unmute yourself if you like at this time. All right. What time we got here, Michelle? Okay, we got 20 minutes left. Awesome. So if anyone has any questions at this time, feel free to ask them to either myself, you can ask Michelle, you can ask Tim. Any questions in ECDev, prosperity, that maybe you need some guidance on, or maybe you want to ask everyone in the group call here right now with us. You know, I host this bi-weekly group training, and we do something similar where I get people to ask out a question that they're going through, and everyone kind of helps them throughout that, and they find it very valuable. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you may have, or anything that's that you've been working towards, and we can do our best to help you. Tim, is there anything you want to add?
No, it's great. It's great. A great discussion.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear some more from anyone in the room here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing so far. It's Emily. It's a great story. You know, starting off at 16 years old is very inspiring to share that story. And I'd like to talk to you too also about you know, Treaty 1. You're a Treaty 1 citizen, and you know, that's our mandate, is to, you know, to help you out in any way we can, and through our Facebook and our social media. You know, if we can help any way, let us know. Reach out to me.
Awesome. Yeah, Emily, why don't you put your contact in the chat so you can all see it, even your website. We'd love to all check it out. Anyone else who feel free to put your contact, your website that you're a part of into the chat. We'd love to check it out. Good for networking. I want to share with you in the time here, when you have your questions, put your hand up if you want to come in. But I want to share with you a quick story, two stories right now of some success stories that I've been noticing. One from a community level and one from an entrepreneur level. So I will start with the entrepreneur one. And so going off of what Michelle was talking about, there's an entrepreneur here in Saskatoon. Her name is Rachel Iafes. I believe that's how you say her name. And so she owns a company called Bannock Express. So she sells everything Bannock burgers, Bannock Timbit style, you know, that type of stuff. And she got into the business by doing a fundraiser for a friend many years ago, about 5 years ago. And her items were such a hit that people started to order like lunch from her, like lunch menus. And then it got into like catering for organizations, lunch meals, First Nations, when they'd have meetings in the city, she'd cater for them, stuff like that. And to this date, she's been able to even prosper and thrive through COVID in her own location, downtown Saskatoon. And she has, every time I go there's a lineup outside the door. So I was like, holy man, this lady is really doing well. And on top of that, she is a mother. She's got her own children. And unfortunately her sister passed away, and now she's taking care of her children. So she's got a full house right now, and she's running her full-time business, has staff that she's employing. And I would say the reason why I would talk about prosperity for all from this perspective is that she has this concept of buy one, give one. So anyone who's in a financially good position, you go into to buy a Bannock burger or buy a meal for that lunch, that noon hour, you can go and buy it, and then let's pretend you buy another meal for anyone off the street who's struggling, because she's in a very core neighborhood where there's people like that are, you know, that are struggling. And you can put that sticky note on the wall, and anyone that comes off the street that's hungry, that's homeless, so can go and take that sticky note and go redeem it for a meal. That's thinking of everyone. That's thinking of community. That's thinking of the next generation. That's, you know, that's being inclusive right there. And the amount of support that she's received has just been amazing. You know, I always see people taking themselves outside Bannock Express and watching her give back. So that's an example right there of someone in our own communities in the urban center being able to do that. So, you know, check her out, Bannock Express on Facebook, on her website and whatnot. There's another community that I'll share with you while we have some time. And so for the last roughly 5 years, off and on, I've been going to a community in northern Quebec called Mistissini. I believe that's pronounced Big Rock in Cree. So in northern Quebec, where they have a lot of partnerships with the hydro companies, I guess you could call it. So they have a lot of they're able to produce their own, I believe, their own energy, their own electricity through their water supply. And so as a result of that, one of the things that I've noticed is I go into those communities up there, and I notice that it doesn't even feel like a reserve. Like, you go into these places and it's like paved roads, brand new schools, brand new youth centers. They're hiring their own people. They have their own grocery stores. They have their own source for sports stores, stuff like that. And I'm like, holy crap. You know, that's an effective win-win right there. That's an effective way of looking out for the next generation. And take it even a step further, now they're creating like funds so that when people can want to build their own home, they just build it on a reserve. So it looks almost like a town around there. People are investing in their own homes to be built in different lots around that reserve. And I look at that model, I'm like, holy crap, that is inspiring. You know, it doesn't have to be exact same, but I think we can learn a lot from just those communities out there, that when things, how they're partnering, how they're bringing that money back to their people. They have funds for their entrepreneurs to access grants if they want to start businesses. They have funds for people who want to launch their own, build their own homes. Like that's thinking of membership. And that, you know, every time I go there, I just get inspired because of all the progressive stuff that they're doing. And so, you know, if you get a chance, check them out. Those Mistissini, and that's in northern Quebec. Around there, there's another place called Ujibougamu, another progressive community. There's Waskaganash, Wemingi, Quebec, Cree Nation. There's about, I can't remember exactly how many, maybe 7 to 9 communities up there, but they're all very similar. They have those partnerships and they're looking after their people in different ways. So I think we can learn a lot from those kind of communities. And so the people that are here today, when you leave this webinar, when you leave this Zoom call with us, think of how you can look after those people around you. Think of how you can further that growth with them, how you can support them, because I think that there's a lot of people doing it right. Sometimes all we got to do is take 1 or 2 things from them and apply it to our businesses. Just like Tony Robbins says, if you want to get somewhere, go model someone, bring a few of those back to your business, and it'll take you a little further. So that's the stuff that I do, and everything I do, everything I've wanted to do, from book writing to speaking to retail, e-commerce, online courses. I didn't know how to do it. I went and found someone to teach me. And you know, everything we want to do, we can learn. We just have to put ourselves out there and do this one thing. All we have to do is ask. And so many of us are scared to do that. Ask more. You never know what people are going to say. So at this time, is there any questions that or any comments that you feel the groups may benefit from? We'll start with Michelle, we'll go back to Tim, and then we'll open up to everyone else.
Thanks, Kendall. I always joke, I always say this, I'm a better buyer than beater. I love supporting our Indigenous peoples. I think the creativity that our people have is worth supporting. There's not a day that goes by that I don't wear, something Indigenous made. So, supporting local, supporting Indigenous peoples, I think is really, really important. The one, if there's this saying I have that I try to capture in my own business. I'm a huge Beyonce fan, and she always says, slay, like go slay, go do, conquer whatever you need to conquer in your day. And I kind of took that and I say, slay your prayers. So I really believe, in my values and my belief systems that, creator, that prayer, that intention, that offering of tobacco always goes first. But I really believe hard work, and collaboration and conversation and mentorship and learning and continuing to grow. I think all of that needs to come together. So prayer, but also go slay that fire, that gift that you have in your heart to build community, to build your business, to build this vision.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I love, well said, well said. Thank you, Michelle. Off to you, Tim.
Yeah, thanks. Just the same thing as Michelle. If you're at COVID, we haven't been to a conference in a long time, but if you're at a conference, stop at the vendors' tables and buy something and support. That's economic development. That Chief Louis said that the best. Like buy something, or you go around saying the same thing. Buy something, because that's economic development. You come to these economic development conferences, well, then support your vendors here, and I do that all the time and buy jewelry all the time. So I appreciate the great work our people are doing. But our businesses, unfortunately, there's a misconception that our businesses aren't run well, or they have substandard look to them, or management of, and so you got to try a little bit harder, just because to tear down those misconceptions. And we've done that. We've done that through some of our business here in Winnipeg. Long Plain has businesses in Winnipeg, and we weren't the first ones to kind of build businesses close to Winnipeg. I mean, there were some others, like, so I'll use Swan Lake for instance. They have a reserve just outside of Winnipeg in Headingley, and I attended a lot of their grand openings when they're launching their businesses, and I was really felt bad for them, because on the front page of the Winnipeg Sun, or was it the second page, basically they built a gaming center, and the headline was "Just a Shack." I was so hurt for Swan Lake, because that was Swan Lake's look, because they have a lot of trees and a lot of forestry in their community, so that's their look, is the wood, wood log buildings. So that's what they modeled their gaming center after, their home community. And I was like, man, that's terrible to call a business just a shack.
Yeah.
So we always have to try harder to prosper. Our Madison gas station, a lot of people thought, res gas and poor service, and that gas station is like almost 6 years old. 3 years getting awards for best practices and continued growth in not just money, but in service and in appearance. And it's in was it a second year or third year nominated for Associate of the Year, meaning gas station of the year. So we just have to try harder all the time, and we just have to, but we do it, and we're successful. But just giving that extra hard work and rolling up your sleeves and wiping down that countertop when you have some time, and smiling, of course, the big smile. And how can I help you? It's just very important to have good customer service, but unfortunately, we just have to go a little bit further.
Yes, 100%, Tim. 100%. Probably Michelle, and even I would agree that we just have to do a little more. That's just the way it is. Like, we're always getting judged, in everything that we do. Like, that's just the perception. And so even like the things that I've done, I feel like it's not enough. I still have to push it. I still have to push it further. And like, that's just a deep rooted ingrained mentality from all the things that we've all gone through in our own ways. So keep it up, Tim. Pump for you. Hey, Michelle, what was the quote that the lady said in the first webinar? I thought that was really powerful.
Yeah, she said, so this is Sandra.
Yeah.
This is Sandra. She said, I want to be a good ancestor.
Mm, mm. Yes, yes. And that just hit me really good, you know, because I think of every even my cookum, like as early as that, who's no longer here, and all the things that she laid the groundwork for me to succeed, for my kids to hopefully succeed, to, you know, all those. It starts today. It starts with you. All of us here, we have those opportunities. You know, just like Tim was saying about, we have to put a little bit extra work. We have to smile more. You know, myself, I wasn't really a smiler when I was growing up. I was too quiet and scared to smile. Now I have to smile, and I do my best. But sometimes I get in the zone, I forget to smile. I just go on a zone, and I forget to smile. But it's so true. You know, me and Michelle was talking about Starbucks. We should all be drinking Starbucks in our places, right? That's kind of like the next step beyond Tim Hortons. And there's something that Starbucks does. What is it? What do they do? What are they so good at, Michelle? That Starbucks, that the company. Every time you go through the drive-through, every time you go into their store, what do you notice?
I mean, great customer service for
Yes.
one. And
Yes.
then they ask you for your name. That's another.
Yes. They care. You know, they really want you to care in that moment. It's been very few times when I've gone to a Starbucks where I haven't felt good leaving, you know? So I think that's very powerful. And I think a lot of people, we can learn from the people that, such as Starbucks, and even, you know, the gas station that Tim and them are running, you know, learning from those kind of companies. Elizabeth, do you want to come in?
Or Trina has her hand raised.
Oh, Trina. Yeah, Trina.
Yeah, I was gonna show my video for a second because Michelle made me think of beadwork. And while I am not an entrepreneur, I am a consumer, and I try really, really hard to be a consumer. So I have, I've been missing the conferences, I've been missing powwows, I've been missing the merchants table and things like that. So I've been focusing all my time on trying to support artisans who are selling online, who are finding different ways to sell. So I think the other part is we also need to get the word out to consumers, to all consumers, but especially Indigenous consumers, because I want to buy Indigenous wherever I possibly can, and it's not always easy to find. So I just wanted to make that point too. We want to support Indigenous businesses.
Yes, thank you, Trina. And I think some of the chambers too are making lists now finally of like Indigenous run businesses, which is cool. I know out here in Saskatchewan, they actually hired an Indigenous brother that is running that department, and he made it. First thing he did was he went and found every Indigenous business in the province, and he made like a list. So if you go on Saskatchewan Chamber list there, you can actually see all the businesses that are First Nations run in the province, which is pretty cool. Anyone else? Last thoughts before we wrap up today? Feel free to unmute yourself. Come on in. Again, I want to say thank you, Danielle. Yep.
I was just gonna say, I think we forgot to mention, but we start next week. Actually, Monday, we're doing an EDO open forum with Candu. It's one of a new project we're doing. So it's on Monday, and I believe on the website there we're promoting it, and it's at 12 p.m. So monthly we're doing these open forums for economic development, and at noon every month.
Awesome. Make it in your calendar, everyone. Show up Monday, starting Monday. I'm sure Candu will have it on their Facebook page and all that stuff, so you can check it out there too. And again, just to wrap up today, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to all of your feedback, your involvement. It makes it so much easier and funner to share stories, because we can learn from each other. I learned just as much as from everyone else in here that, you know, I learn a lot from you. And I just want to say thank you for giving your time, giving your energy, and most importantly, sharing your stuff, sharing your expertise, because we need more of that. You know, the people that you're serving need more of that. So thank you for all that. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Tim. Back to Tim, and then back to Michelle.
Great session, Kendal. Thank you very much, and I was looking forward to today, and you know, good luck on your future endeavors. It's we're all watching and wishing you well. Michelle, thank you for co-hosting the event as usual. Great co-host. On behalf of Candu and board of directors and all the staff. Thank you all again. Great job, staff, and thank you all to everyone who attended today. Michelle?
Yeah, thank you so much. I carry so much gratitude in my heart in this moment. So thank you all for being part of that, being part of this morning's webinar. Just a couple of things. Elizabeth will be sending you a link to fill out an evaluation, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Fill it out. It's in your best interest because your name will be entered into a win Visa gift card. So please fill out those evaluations. We hope to see you back again. You're welcome to join us. This is all about learning, educating, collaborating, networking, and that's so important as we are growing in our communities. When we talk about development and prosperity, it really is about collaboration and partnership. So thank you everyone for being here. I hope you have a good rest of the day. May you know that you do not walk alone. Creator, the four-legged, the winged ones, the two-legged, the beautiful sacred waters, that we do not walk alone on this land. So maybe take a moment, step outside, take a deep breath in, and just appreciate what Creator has given us this day. Be well. Peace.